All right. Welcome everybody to the company Convo, the MESA company Convo session for this month. My name is Tom Ahn, and I'm the executive director at the statewide office here at the MESA. And we hope that everyone's enjoying the series and that your summers are getting off to a good start. We're a little bit small today, probably because of summer, but we're really excited to bring you somebody who I think will add a tremendous amount to your career outlook. Please continue to share your feedback by completing the survey that we're going to post at the end of the session. We've had some great responses to these sessions so far. And do keep a lookout for all the monthly company Convo invitations in your inbox. Next is Uber, followed by Simplexity. And also please share on your social and give Ken and MESA a shout out by using hashtag MESA company convos. During this session, feel free to use the Q&A or chat function to ask your questions. Don't be shy. Now that's easier to say than to do, but really these sessions are here for you to get all of your questions answered to the extent possible. This is your chance to ask questions in a low stress setting. So let's test this out now. Can everyone add their school to the chat? And if you have an internship this summer, name the company or organization. All right, we got at least one Sac State. Sac State's been, oh yeah, there's another Sac State. All right, it looks like a full-on Sac State session here. So that's great. Let's get started. I want to take the time to introduce Ken Forward, who is our speaker for today. Kenneth T. Forward is currently the change management consultant and co-founder of PG&E's SALT, which is an acronym for Strategy Allies Leading Transparency Task Force. In this role, Ken and his colleagues are responsible for operationalizing the PG&E diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy by focusing on human values as well as PG&E's virtues and purpose. They take a white glove service approach, meaning teams and individuals where they are, to supporting them by providing human empowering service programs and coaching. Now, Ken was born in Florida, but he grew up in the Bay Area, so he proudly calls both coasts home. He holds 2 degrees in electrical and metallurgical engineering, respectively, with minors in math, physics, statistics, and philosophy. So he was quite busy in college. Now, during his 18 years with PG&E, Ken has held multiple roles as an individual contributor and as a leader in the generation, electric operations, IT, and law, and strategy and policy organizations. So let me repeat those: generation, electric operations, IT, law, strategy and strategy. I'm clearly not an English major. Strategy and policy organizations. With over 25 years of work experience in numerous industries such as energy, transportation, construction, and technology, he's impacted over $1 billion in bottom line business outcomes in his professional career. Ken's career engagements are only outshined by his need and desire and self-imposed responsibility to support and help others. He is the current president of PG&E's NESB network group, one of 3 PG&E engineering resource groups. He's also a member of MAK, Minds of All Kinds, which is PG&E's diversity and inclusion, as well as compliance and ethics councils. Okay, so MAK, Minds of All Kinds, is a body unto itself. Then there's the PG&E's diversity and inclusion council, as well as the ethics and compliance council. When he's not working, Ken enjoys mentoring, volunteering with local community groups, music, the gym, and hanging out with family and friends, as well as tending to his massive beard. So please, everyone, use chat to welcome Ken.
Thank you, Thomas. We should have cut that down for you. It's way too long, way too long. Tell my life story there. So happy to be here with everyone. I'm going to go through my presentation. Please feel free to add and ask any questions in the chat. Hopefully you get a lot out of this, a little bit more about PG&E, what we do, some of the things you may or may not know, as well as a little bit about my career journey in the utility and energy industry. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So let me share my screen. I think it's taking a moment there thinking. Yeah, it looks like Chrome's not responding, so we'll give it another sec and see if it decides to come on up and work for us today. Gotta love technical difficulties. So while I'm waiting for that to try and reset itself, I'm going to just go ahead and give you a little bit about the agenda on the deck. So talk a little bit about my early years, up to college and beyond. Give a little overview about PG&E, what we do, what we provide to our over 16 million customers. Talk a little bit about some of the things you probably don't know about PG&E. Walk through my 18-year career journey and from what I started doing as an intern and co-oping at Diablo Canyon to the present. And then talk a little bit about the career opportunities, recruiting, how, to get a job, taking advantage of some of the opportunities that a company like PG&E provides. Talk about how we give back and support the community, and then also follow up with maybe some takeaways, and lastly, our questions or some questions that you may have. So with that, we're going to proceed, and I may have to just do a restart. So give me one moment here, and I apologize.
I have your deck up as well, so I can share my screen if that's helpful.
Looks like Ken's restarting.
Folks can also ask questions anonymously in the Q&A function, just so you know. If you're not comfortable with putting it in under your own name, we have it, the ability to ask anonymously.
All right, I think I'm back. Let's give this another shot. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
All right, third time's a charm. All right, so I kind of walked through this already, so let's just dive on in. So the early years, as you can see from this picture here, that's me and my little brother when we were little. Him with the Gerber baby smile and the perfect afro sitting in front, taking the nice shot with the little move shirt on. Me sitting in the background, Fro's not quite as perfect as he is, and looking and waiting for my opportunity to go tear something up. So just that perspective. But as stated, a little background about me. I was born in Florida, Panama City, Florida. I grew up in the Bay Area, lived in Oakland, Vallejo, Sacramento. I went to middle school and high school in Oakland, Skyline High School, and actually went to Vallejo High for a very short period of time. From there, graduating high school, went off to college, and probably like a lot of you, ended up having the non-traditional path through college. I wasn't fortunate enough to go straight through. So I started off my college career at the University of Miami, which was great. But for financial reasons, it's a private college, very expensive. My parents really couldn't afford to, pay that difference, the cost. So I came back home, went to Laney College for a little while, and then up to Sacramento City College, and worked my way back to school. Went off to Washington State, where I started working on my electrical engineering degree. And then just like what happens with a lot of us, you know, family things came up. I had to come home and help be supportive of the family and the needs there. So came home, worked for a while, continued to go to school and take courses, and ultimately was able to go back to Washington State. And in the midst of going back for the second time, realized that one, because at this point I was paying for college on my own, and two, I realized that it was cheaper to take courses at the University of Idaho, which some of you may not know is only 8 miles away from Washington State. They border each other on the eastern side of Washington. So I went back, started taking a full load at both universities. So I ultimately, the last year and a half of my college career, was taking classes at both a full load and graduated, as stated, with a degree in electrical and metallurgical engineering between the two. The one thing I just wanted to really emphasize here is that, you know, education and your path to your career or your dreams is almost never a linear path. You know, there's life and different things that come up, different challenges and different opportunities that come along the way. But if it's important to you to make that, you know, have that accomplishment and take that step of finishing school or a degree or even a certificate or certification program, whatever it may be, you can always do it. There's no timeline on when you have to or you're supposed to. You do it at your time and pace. The key thing being that it has to be something you want to do and want to accomplish for yourself. And for me, it was like, even if it took me 20 years at that time in my life, I was going to finish college. And it took me almost 10 years to finish with, you know, starting and stopping and helping family and everything. But I got it accomplished, and I still am able to build more than a 20 plus career in doing my, you know, working for PG&E or just in the industry. So never give up on that dream or that desire to continue working and getting your degree if that's important to you. So as stated, some of my interests while I was doing all that and growing up, some of the things that I learned that helped me not only in college and have helped me build who I am today, but also in, you know, PG&E and some of the other places I worked is, you know, grew up doing general contracting. My grandfather was one of the first African-American general contractors in the Bay Area. He did that for over 50 years. Auto mechanic, loved cars, grew up working on cars with my dad. You know, couldn't afford a new car, so you learned how to fix the cars you had, you know, that were around and cheap and reasonable. General repairman, I can fix and repair most anything. I did that both at home, but also, you know, when you work for contractors and stuff like that, they ship you out for labor, you know, helping other contractors or people who need repairs and stuff. So I got a lot of work and experience doing those things. Painting, me and my dad used to paint professionally, lots of homes, really around this time of the year in the summer. And then, you know, throughout the year, we had a lot of friends and people we knew who owned properties and things like that. So every year, new tenants come in, or every couple of years, they need new, you know, paint new their properties and all that kind of stuff. And then DJing and music was stuff that I did, you know, I enjoyed doing and just happened to get into, especially cooking. I've been cooking since I was like 11 years old. The first time I cooked a full Thanksgiving dinner, I was 13. And when I say full Thanksgiving, I mean, you know, turkey, ham, all the fixings. And because I inherited a sweet tooth, cakes, pies, and all that stuff was all on the table. So just giving you a little background about me. But more so, let's move on to the career aspects. So, you know, as some of you may know, PG&E is a over 100-year-old company. It's a dual commodity utility. We provide both gas and electric to over 16 million customers here in California, which is really over 2/3 of the state, as you can see from the illustration here. You know, we provide gas, electric on the gas side. We provide transmission and distribution, so serving homes and then transporting it across state lines. And on the electric side, we do it all. We do generation, transmission, and distribution. So from creating the energy at generation plants like Diablo Canyon, our hydro facilities in the north, the geysers, pump storage, all of that, to providing it directly to your homes, and buildings and offices. So wanted to give you a little picture of what the two systems look like. So people understand we provide gas and electricity, but they don't necessarily know like the path and the journey to it. So on the left, you see the, kind of the pathway of the electric system. So you see where we have generation plants, and generation stations. Some of them are, some of them independent, like municipalities like a SMUD and others, local municipalities and water districts that generate their own power, as well as, in part number 3 there, facilities or electricity that's generated out of state, because we're all in an interconnected grid. So you have, flow coming from multiple sources for that. Then from there, you transport it over the transmission lines. It goes to a substation where you step the voltage up or down from transmission level down to distribution level, and distribution level being the voltage that we use for our homes, residential, all that kind of stuff. And then you can see how it's then taken from the substations through the distribution system over the, smaller poles, not the big towers, and then and also underground, and then provided to the local community. On the gas side of the house, as stated, we're not a gas storage company. We have storage facilities for the gas we transmit over the transmission lines, but most of the natural gas that we get comes from up north. So from the gas fields in like Canada, and it's transported through the northern United States, as well as the central United States. It's, again, a big network and grid of the gas facilities across the nation and system. So we get our gas, like I said, from a multitude of sources. We transmit it through transmission lines, through the state of California, through our coverage territory. We then, similar to the electric side, have regulatory stations and compressor stations where we change the pressure from transmission level down to distribution, and then disseminate that through, the local community. The cities, counties, all that kind of thing, providing gas facilities to a multitude of things. So these are the main commodities and main things that people think about when they see PG&E, or they think about the energy industry and PG&E in particular, the gas and the electricity that we provide. But as most of you probably know, PG&E and a lot of companies our size and that do some of the things we do are almost like little cities. There's the aspects of, how people get around and do things, but there's so many other elements like, your groceries and your hospitals and your parks and rec and all that kind of thing. And PG&E has some of that same complexity and diversity in what we do and how we show up in our community. So on this slide, I just wanted to show you, like, these are some of the other things that PG&E does or is involved in. So, from our control centers where, we have wildfire prevention and aggregation for gas and electric. We have a helicopter operations department aircraft operations department that flies fixed wing planes, helicopters, and we have drones for our facilities, but also for weather and a number of other things. We do AI and artificial intelligence and data analytics. So we have a lot of modeling and custom coding and development for our facilities and for a number of the services that we provide. One of the things that I like to also bring up among so many others that are here are some of our test facilities. So we have what we call the ATS, which is the Applied Technical Services. If you've ever been in San Ramon on Crow Canyon Road or right off the freeway, and you drive, you're driving down Crow Canyon, and on your left, you see this dome facility. That's our ATS building. And over there, we test and simulate lots of different scenarios and things that can happen in our coverage territory, because we have a test facility, a test yard that simulates high voltage and low voltage that can take place across our territory. And we bring in different scenarios, whether they be efficiency opportunities or maintenance scenarios, all these different things that we get to play around with. It's also where we test things and see how they work out in the field, if, different pieces of equipment or standards and all that stuff. And then we also have our gas and electric schools. So our electric school is located in Livermore. It's our climbing school. You'll see, on our website, and if you've ever been to some of the lineman rodeos or things like that, that's where people learn about electricity, but they also learn all the, how to deal with electric facilities, how to climb poles, how to do helicopter work from poles, all kinds of things. So if you've ever been in the Livermore area and you've seen like a helicopter hovering above power lines, right off of Vasco Road, and wonder why it's not moving anywhere, it's probably because they're at the test, the learning facility, testing and training new linemen and new people working in the electric field. And similarly, we just finished up, and it's been open for a couple of years now, a gas facility as well, further north, that does some of the same things, where we get to practice and test out a number of different things, train up people on how we work and how to work in the industry. So just to give a little more perspective on some of the things we do that are outside of just gas and electric, I'm going to show you a video, maybe two videos based on time, of what we do and some of the things that transpire at PG&E. So give me a second here, and let's see if we can get this full screen. Let's see, am I still sharing? Looks like it. And my audio's on, so let's play.
The grid is changing significantly, and we don't have all of the answers. EPIC, which stands for the Electric Program Investment Charge, is a dedicated R&D program for PG&E.
EPIC's been really beneficial to our team because it's given us a space to brainstorm about technology and technology problems that'll be facing our company and the industry several years from now, and consider how we can use demonstration projects to understand the technology and the problem early, so that when the company does need to make a scaled resource decision, we'll have a much better understanding and can make a solid decision right out the gate.
At PG&E, safety is our highest responsibility, and that safety takes innovation. Some of our key strategic objectives include mitigating fire risk and hardening our system to ensure the safe delivery of energy, further integrating increased renewables, being able to lower our cost for our customers through new innovative approaches, and being able to leverage our data and analytics in new and different ways.
Now with climate change affecting the environment that the grid is operated in, EPIC has definitely shifted to looking at new technologies to reduce the wildfire risk. I've been working on the proactive Wires Down project, where we're looking to implement new technology in the substation called REVCOL, which stands for Rapid Earth Fault Current Limiter, to limit the fault current in case a wire hits the ground or some other ground fault. This is new technology to North America. It's been used in Australia with good success. In the lab ignition tests, this technology was proven in Australia to reduce the likelihood of ignition by 90%.
Data analytics for predictive maintenance is a project that's looking at using real-time data, like voltage data from our smart meter system, to look at anomalies, and from those anomalies predict when a distribution asset such as a transformer might fail. Before you have an outage, potentially a safety risk if the asset fails catastrophically. We're really prioritizing assets that have a higher risk of failure, and specifically failure that could cause a wildfire ignition.
PG&E collects between 8 and 10 billion data points every single day. That is just a massive amount of data. The use of advanced analytics and data science is a key way that we can help push down costs by doing projects faster, better, and cheaper, while still maintaining the same level of safety and reliability. And that's only possible because we're allowed to innovate and experiment and test through the EPIC program.
We're taking the learnings from EPIC, data analytics, new methodologies of how to forecast and plan for distributed energy resources and what the impacts on the grid. Not only will that help us meet our growing, dynamic, changing needs of our customer, but also positions us to meet where state policy is taking us into the future.
California has some really ambitious renewable energy goals. What EPIC has enabled us to do is to get some of these really early stage learnings in battery energy storage resources. And not only how do we implement these batteries, but how do we operate them for maximum customer value?
I recall the first time I shared with people outside of the EPIC program the credit card size meter. And they were shocked and they said, "We did this, PG&E?" And I said, "Yeah, we have these skills. We've developed the skills in-house. And we're just now scratching the surface in terms of how we're going to apply some of these ideas that were developed using EPIC dollars."
We talk a lot about and. We need to be safe and reliable and affordable and clean. That's not going to happen through our traditional approaches of doing things. It's going to take innovation, and it's going to take working in a different way. And EPIC helps enable both. There's very few critical challenges we have where there is an easy answer and out-of-the-box solution. And through EPIC, it helps us to try things, fail fast, and keep working towards achieving that strategic objective.
When you have the time to breathe and think and innovate, rather than just focusing on near-term deliverables, you're really able to do so much more, and that's what EPIC allows.
One of the really amazing things is that the flexibility of EPIC has allowed us to take this new situation where PG&E is facing, unprecedented challenges with the recent wildfires and the impacts that they've had to the local communities, and apply these new technologies, these new ways of working with data to try to address some of those greatest risks.
PG&E is committed to innovation and developing new technology, investing in a more resilient grid and improving the customer experience as we adapt to the impacts of increased wildfire risk.
So that's just a little bit of a picture into some of the things that we do, as well as our continued moving forward and opportunities for innovation. And just as a side note, that distribution test yard I mentioned at ATS, it was shown about 4 or 5 times in that video, the place that they were walking through when they talked about the ground fault technology and that little enclosed place that with the short transformer poles or the short power poles with different equipment on it. That is that test facility that I had the fortune to be a part of that and the project manager for. So just giving you a little bit of that overview and sense of, even though PG&E is a gas and electric company, and this holds true for a lot of companies of size, there's a multitude of other things they do, not only to innovate, but just to run their business that are very valid STEM related and non-STEM related, disciplines that, you may have an opportunity to leverage your skills or work for a company, from a different perspective than, again, just the services that they're known to provide. So with that, I'll go on a little bit about my career journey. Lots of interesting pictures here. So the first picture here at the far left is how I got started at PG&E. So, over 18 years ago, I started my career at doing a co-op and an internship at Diablo Canyon, our nuclear power plant, of which, Diablo is being decommissioned. And if you go to our website, they have a whole process and protocol on what's being done, how we're engaging the community in that, similar to what was done for Hunters Point in San Francisco several years ago. From there, I had the fortune of working for and interning at Toyota, at Toyota Motor Sales USA down in Torrance, California. Got to use my electrical engineering, but also a lot of other innovative skills and creative skills there. Got to work on some projects and some platforms and, accessories and things that Toyota uses today, like a lot of their integrated, technology for visuals and, those types of things are things that I was able to work on back when I was interning at Toyota. My first full-time position, or as I like to call it, transitioning to the utility space here at PG&E, was in our service planning department. And service planning is the team or the department that provides gas and electric service to the local community. So when you think about the electricity or gas that you get at home or at your school or, the grocery store that you go to, this is the department that coordinates that service. And it's really a liaison type of relationship. We're the representatives for the customer to the company for what their needs are. And then we represent the company to the customer on the process and protocols and support necessary to provide them that service. And while I was doing that, I also held a couple other positions. Cut and flat, which is people who have unmetered power, which is a safety hazard that we try to get corrected and get them, powered and billing correctly and remove the safety hazard that's therein. And then telco program manager. So I got a chance to work with the telecommunication companies, AT&T, Comcast, and now the cell companies as well as Verizon and others, on the space on the poles and that they occupy in our relationship there. So when you see a power pole, at the very top of it, you see the electricity, that's us, the transformers, the wires and all that. But below there, you see what they call the communications zone. So that's where you see AT&T, Comcast, all the media companies, that's where they hang their facilities. And we're joint owners in the pole, which is the facility. And there's agreements, interactions whenever we move, relocate, or they need to move or relocate, add, or what have you. So did a lot of that. Then project management in our electric operations department. So doing projects like, the Kaiser Hospital in downtown Oakland. That was one of my projects. So we put a new transformer at our substation at the Temescal Plaza. Some of you may be familiar with that. Our substation D is there right behind, the square there. And we ran new distribution lines from that substation all the way to the new Kaiser Hospital that at the time was being built, now is well established down on downtown Oakland. So did a lot of large projects. Highway 4, Calaveras Dam, the merger between BART and VTA, which is still taking place today, where now you can take BART all the way through to San Jose. Moving infrastructure and collaboration for the utilities that PG&E owned in that project was something that I worked on and had responsibility in. So a lot of, again, project management, communication, team working skills, all that great stuff. Then the next stint, I moved over into grid technology. So this was fun. And I love this little character because this is really emblematic. This cartoon character of what our situation was at the time is our workers out in the field and our people in operations had so many different tools to get so much information. And in that team, we worked to provide them singular source technology. So like iPads and iPhones and things of that nature, to consolidate all of the different tools that they had so they could get all their information from one single source. So a lot of good stuff there. And then mobility, similarly, did the same thing with our larger enterprise operations department. Jumping over to Digital Catalyst, this is when I moved from operations electric into the IT organization. And this was really groundbreaking for PG&E. We basically built a tech company inside of PG&E. We built and created it with about 10 people, and then it grew to over, now I think they're over 150. A team that was focused on building custom mobile applications and doing data analytics, the same data analytics you saw in the video. So just like the picture shows, we took all this paper and all these disparate systems and electronics and moved them to our main platforms of, we're iOS, Apple product based company, HTML5 and all that kind of stuff. And then we still use Windows for our laptops and desktops, but providing, our operations and all of our employees information at their fingertips was and is the focus of our Digital Catalyst organization that I helped stand up. And we're still doing that work. We've built a bunch of custom mobile applications, a couple that have won awards, like our Maps Plus application, which took all of our integrated facilities and put them with using GIS, which is geospatial systems, companies like Google and others who do that same kind of mapping, and put it on our mapping system overlaid with a Google Maps and other things. So our people in operations and people just within our company and employees could have all the data about our assets at their fingertips, as well as other information that they needed to do their job when either meeting with customers or working directly. Then the previous 18 months, I was on the wildfire safety team. And on this team, as the picture illustrates, you see the guy in the bucket truck in the, approaching the line, doing an inspection on the wires and the transformer. And then in this picture below, you see all these little dots and pictures and images of assets. That team and the team that I manage provided the technology for us to do our field inspections. So we went out, provided them the tools, the digital tools, so they could verify what we had as assets, imminent threats and hazards, so they could be fixed and repaired. And then the last thing, my current role, change management and co-founder of the SALT Task Force. So all through my time at PG&E and all my, my career and just in general, I've always given back to the community, been a big proponent of that, worked in the community and with others. So the Digital Catalyst team, we came together after the George Floyd murder and just wanted to emphasize the need to have dialogue and speak up and improve our communications across the enterprise. So we collectively came together with the help and support of our leadership, our senior leadership, and we've been having and holding difficult conversations across the enterprise. And we've built services and tools to support teams having diversity, equity, inclusion, speak up, listen up, follow up moments and conversation focused on human values and building trust, teamwork, and collaboration. So very proud of the work we've done. We in 3 months, when we first stood up and before we were even official, we had conversations with over 6,500 employees, across our entire service territory. So great work and good stuff there. So wanted to jump in, and I want to make sure I leave enough time, and apologize for the technical difficulties for some very key things. So this slide shows the different career opportunities as well as what PG&E recruits for. So on the left are the majors that we recruit for on our corporate side of the house, which is, kind of the office and all that kind of stuff. And then the non-corporate, more of our operations area. And then also recruiting for internships and those type of opportunities. Some of the programs we have, like our engineering rotational program. Power Pathway is our technical pathway or technical program, where if you're interested in being a lineman or going into the gas or electric department, doing more hands-on stuff and work, that's an opportunity. And links to those jobs and opportunities are here. For those summer interns, you can see the information here. We have over 100 plus this year. We had over 120 interns, usually 10 to 12 week duration, whatever time frame you're out from school, because that's when we usually do it. And then similar, what our rotational program looks like, 12 to 18 months. We usually cycle you through 2 to 3 different organizations within or departments within the larger organization. And we also recruit from our MBA program in the finance department for those opportunities as well. So again, I'm the president of the NSBE Network, and I'm a firm proponent of giving back. It's our responsibility. So this is just illustrating some of the work that not only we do as NSBE, but all the PG&E employee resource groups and engineering resource groups do. So we have Girls STEM Star here. You know, it's coding and focused on STEM for young girls and women. The Boys and Girls Club of San Francisco, but Boys and Girls Clubs throughout our whole coverage territory. Green Scholarships, which is a STEM-focused organization, nonprofit organization based in the Palo Alto area that works with other groups like NSBE, SHIP, SWE, even is willing to work with MESA. In the corner right here is us at the Glide Memorial a location in San Francisco, giving back, doing some prep work. And then on the far left right here is actually our STEM scholarship winners. So we had all our scholarship winners come out and gave them a tour of the ATS facility. So a couple of takeaways, and then I'll open it up for questions. So I'll let you read through all of these. I'm not going to drain all of them, but I just want to talk to the highlighted one. So from a career and a life standpoint, you know, seek out mentors, advocates, sponsors, champions, and supporters, and know and understand the difference and roles of all of them. So each one of them plays a different role in your personal and potentially your career life. Understanding who they are, what their role and function is, and you know, taking the time to build a rapport for that, it'll be, you know, is immensely important to you and you know, wanting to accomplish your goals and just living and having a productive life and engagement. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. This is where learning happens and growth. Very important. You know, if you're in your comfort zone, then you're not stretching yourself. You're not getting exposed to new and different things, because that unawareness is where you're learning, where you're growing. And a lot of times you're going to find yourself in those uncomfortable spaces, like myself, being the only person, African-American or person of color in certain rooms, especially for certain degrees, or being a first generation college student like myself, and I'm sure so many of you. So being in that uncomfortable space, being uncomfortable, there's where that growth and opportunity comes from. You and we all have an obligation to help someone who knows less than we do. So even though you're looking at me and this whole conversation series is giving you exposure to groups and to people who are in their career and have taken the next step that you aspire to, there's others behind you who haven't gotten to your point, who are in, you know, middle school, elementary school, other people you just may know who haven't had the experience or exposure. You know, as human beings, we're here to help and support one another. So be willing to reach back and inform or educate or support someone else. Practice self-care. There's have fun along the way. There's a lot going on. Make sure you know and find the things that energize you and re-energize you in the journey, because sometimes it's going to be heavy, it's going to be hard, but knowing what gives you energy, what fun is, whether it's something super simple or complex, is critical in making sure you take that time for yourself. It's okay to ask for help. No one makes it in this world and in life without getting some help, whether it's visible to you or invisible. And more often than not, people are willing to help you if you ask. And I know it's hard for us sometimes, and I say us as underrepresented groups, because we can't always ask our parents or people who are close to us because they just don't have those experiences. But there's others who do. Never stop asking. Know that there's many people who want to see you succeed, because your success is also their success. So don't be afraid to ask for help. whether it be with schoolwork or especially, those personal times and areas too. First generation going to school away, don't know anybody, you're you're at school alone and feel isolated. Reach out, look for that help and support. And then the last thing is, there's never a bad time to invest in yourself or in human rights and values. Always a good time to do that. We're all human beings. Investing your time in yourself, but also in others, and spreading that diaspora of human value and human appreciation is very important and key. So with that, I'm going to open it up for questions and turn it back over to Daniela.
Hey, Ken, it's actually Tom. I'm gonna filter some questions to you. It really looks like you've had a career where you've had a chance to be around a lot of innovation, or even helped promote innovation at the companies that you worked at. What sort of innovative things do you think PG&E is doing in terms of workplace diversity and reaching out to underrepresented communities? And how has that been impacted by COVID?
I love this question. So a couple of things. One, my current job. So workplace diversity, engagement, trying to do different things, valuing and reaching out to our communities is a big part of what my current job is in change management and as the SALT team, but also my secondary role as being one of the presidents of one of our 14 employee resource groups. So we, one thing about that is that we reach out and support the community, but we also are, customers and for the communities that we live and serve. We also live in these communities and impact. So PG&E has been and continues to do a lot of work in that, whether it be STEM outreach, scholarships, or just investment in, different community programs in the schools. And it's not always monetary. A lot of times it's really like stuff like this, just the time, bringing awareness, showing that we're here to be a partner with the customers we serve, because again, we are also the customers. And then going forward, with our move to Oakland, as most of you may know, we're moving from San Francisco to Oakland. We're working to do a lot of work and investment there. We're already, and have been for the last 4 years, part of the Oakland Promise initiative, but also, you may not know, we're part of like Stockton Promise and similar programs in Sacramento and other parts of our coverage territory. So always looking to give back, always looking to invest, because it's an investment in the collective us.
That's great. Now, one of the coolest things that you described was just the sheer breadth of different opportunities and pathways and even fields of study that your company sort of embraces. So what would be your best advice for MESA students who, have areas of interest but might not be sure about what they ultimately want to do? What's the best way for them to engage in a potential career at PG&E?
So my rule of thumb, and I'll be honest, when I looked at PG&E, even though I was very familiar with it, grew up in the Bay Area, I purposefully looked for companies that had a couple of key principles for me. One was, how do they engage and give back and coordinate with the community? Two, from a career standpoint, do they do more than one thing? So if I go in, am I only going to have one opportunity and one career path, or do they do multiple things, and there's multiple things I could transition to without ever leaving the company and continue to grow and learn? So for someone who's coming fresh out, know and understand what is important to you. What do you want to gain experience in? Understand that, being an undergraduate or fresh out of college, that you're in that teachable space. So it's really more about, your effort, enthusiasm, than it is your skill set just yet, because you're going to be building into that. But how you show up, the emphasis and effort that you put in, showing that you want to work and you're a team player, all of those are key things. And always remember, these are bi-directional relationships. So yeah, we want to offer jobs or have jobs to offer. You also want to work, but it's a symbiotic relationship. We need each other to be successful. So thinking of it that way, and thinking of going forward, how you want to grow and improve, and does that company offer some of those opportunities or those things? I think is something to consider. And I'm a huge proponent, internships or any kind of experience you can get, whether they be paid or not, or community, service and things of that nature, anything that gets you exposure and experience to leverage skills that you've learned in school or that you want to build on. Take all advantage of all of those things because they all fit on your resume, showing what you're capable of and what you can accomplish.
Thank you, Ken. Your presentation was just so chock full of information. I was hoping that you would be willing to share either your deck or there's that one page that you had that had all the different sort of ways for internship deadlines and whatnot. Oh, and there's that too.
There you go. So really quick, just to let you know, Thomas, I did share the PDF of the deck. So you, I believe Daniela have it, and it has all the links, and there's other videos and other information that I didn't get to, partially technical difficulties, and it's a lot of content. But please feel free to share it with the whole MESA, team and students. And then as shown here, here's some of my contact information, and I can put this in the chat. So at the top is mine. The other section has all the career stuff. So PG&E has a LinkedIn page with all our recruiting and career information as well as a regular page. Our currents page, which is a great place to see what's going on with us. Tom, who's also a recruiter in our department, was kind enough to share his contact information. So if people have questions about university programs, how to get an internship, all those types of things, that's his email address. Our careers page, our power pathway, where to get jobs, and then some other links about Diablo Canyon, our decommissioning, but also our Latinx video that they did a couple of years ago just to show some of the other diversity things that we do at PG&E and how that's all incorporated and part of our DNA. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, this is great.
Oh, go ahead, Danielle.
This is great. Thank you, Ken. We'll be sure to share all this information out with our students. Looks like there's a lot of good stuff here.
Cool.
Ken, I want to thank.
Go ahead.
I think we're running a bit short on time, so we need to, I think, close here. But we're going to post the video to our YouTube channel and also post a link to that in our Jumpstart community. And we'll also post be able to send out your slide deck, the PDF to the community as well. So I hope you're ready to field some questions from or field some emails from our students moving forward. And I just want to thank you again for being such a great partner and a resource for MESA.
No, thank you. Always ready and willing to help. My email's there, use it, feel free to. And looking forward to all the great work MESA does and continues to do today and in the future in any way that I know PG&E by extension can help with that.
Awesome. So thank you, students, for attending. Please do fill out the survey, the feedback link that Danielle put into the chat, and we will see you hopefully again at our next company convo session. Ken, have a great weekend, and we'll chat again very soon.
Thank you. You as well. Have a great weekend, everyone.